Good afternoon, everyone. I am not usually going live in the afternoon, but this morning everything kind of got away from me a little bit. And I think because of this project has some outside things that you need to do too, like baking gingerbread cookies and all of that. That took a little bit of extra time to try and finagle everything. Whenever I create a project, I like to create projects with Stampin' Up! Products, but I also like to show you what can go inside these projects so that they have relevance and that you can make them afterwards. And I do a lot of thought in terms of box sizing, how to make best use out of a sheet of cardstock and all of that. So today's project is actually a simple little box, but the cool thing about this box, well, has a gingerbread man on the front of it, is very cool. But if you're going to be making a lot of these, I size them so you can get one box out of one sheet of cardstock. Now that is if you choose the same color bottom as the top. I alternated colors, so like I would have a white bottom and a colored top. So the lid takes half a sheet and the bottom takes half a sheet. So that's just like really useful in terms of if you're going to be making these as multiples. And I thought that this would make a really good project for working with kids. So, you know, this is a little box. It's about 3/4 of an inch deep. I'm going to open it up here. You can see, and I baked gingerbread men to go inside them. And when you're doing this, you want to size things so that they work well together, right? The gingerbread man's about the same size on the front as the baked one. So I did have one gingerbread cookie cutter, but it didn't have the same type of look. It actually had little feet kind of that stuck out on the sides. So I went online and I found a nesting set of gingerbread men cookie cutters that you can use. They're on Amazon, and the recipe I used, I also posted that over on my blog. It's from Sally's Baking Addiction. If you haven't ever made something from Sally, then you're missing out. She's an excellent baker, and she gives you so many different tips. So I used her recipe, and I only had about a 1/8 inch on the length and the width expansion on the cookie. If you're careful, you might be able to get that down a little bit more too. If you roll out your dough, do your cookie cutters, throw the sheets back in the fridge. The expansion happens when the cookie dough is room temperature and then goes into a hot oven and then it starts to spread. So if you can minimize that by having your cookies cold, you'll have less expansion. But Sally will go over, she has, I think, a video and tips and everything. So if you're going to bake these and use these boxes, you don't want your cookies to spread. So this is the exact recipe I used for the cookies, and I followed her instructions exactly. The other thing I thought would be really fun to do with this is, and I didn't have a chance to do this, but I remember, I don't know, I think I may have done this with our son when he was little. You can make salt dough, and it's not edible. This salt dough is, you make it with flour, salt, and I think it's just water. I think it's 3 ingredients, and you mix it together and you roll it out into a dough, and then you use cookie cutters as well. Then you paint it and put a little hole, and you could use this as an ornament box. And, you know, sometimes that's like a fun activity for kids. They could make their own little ornament, and then they can decorate the front of the box as well. You cut some gingerbread men for them, and then they can decorate it up. And then it kind of can be a very fun project. And then I just cut some little thumb grips into the side. Okay, so maybe you want to do something sweet on the inside, but you don't want to bake cookies, right? Some of us just don't have that talent or just the energy to do that. So in that case, I recommend getting Pepperidge Farms Gingerman, and they I think they're available year round. I found them in my grocery store right now, just in the regular cookie section. And these come with kind of three, they have little kind of cupcake liners, and they have like 3 layers inside of here. And I think it's 21, it's around 21 cookies in here. And so I put some of these Gingerman cookies, just so you could see, in a bag here, and just so you could see what it would look like. I think I put 6 or 7 fit nicely inside a cellophane bag. And speaking of cellophane bags, because I wanted something that was food safe, I did go online and I got these cellophane bags. They are 4 by 6. I have a link down below. Excuse me. These are let me grab some water. Just have a tickle in my throat. Sorry. These are 4 by 6, and they have like a little liner so you can seal them up, and they fit perfectly inside the bag. You can just fold them over. So that is what I used for both the Gingerbread Man cookie and the Gingerman from Pepperidge Farms. So there's some ideas. Now this is a very shallow box, so it's definitely meant for cookies. I originally started out with a deeper box, but then we needed more cardstock and I couldn't fit it on a half sheet. And then I thought, you know, if you're going to decorate a cookie, and this is a very simple decoration, I just kind of wanted to mimic Stampin' Up's a little bit. When I did this, I just thought, do you really want to stack cookies on top of each other? You want to protect that pretty cookie that you just baked and decorated. So I decided that, you know, the shallow box would be great, because it has just enough height, probably to, as long as your decorations aren't too tall, they should fit in there with your cookie. And so I thought that would be kind of cool, because there's a little bit extra room on top that your cookie and your decorations could fit. So that is what I designed today, and I'm going to show you how I made it. I want to show you how to cut the Gingerbread Man, because this die here, let's have a look at the bundle here. This is the Gingerbread Man bundle. It comes with this cute stamp set, and then it comes with lots of dies, lots of little dies, and it comes with these gingerbread men. And this is cool because it can also make a card. You just run this whole thing through and you can fold it in half right there. But when you cut it all the way through, it's also going to leave you kind of a flat edge on your gingerbread man. I'm going to show you how to circumvent that and create nice rounded arms on both sides. So I'll show you my little trick for that. Maybe some other people have figured out better ways to do that, but this is the way I decided to do it, and it seems to work well for me. And yeah, we'll just decorate it up. And I will have a project sheet for you that will be sent out tomorrow in Saturday's email. As well, on Sunday, I will have the project sheet for my Tuesday project that I will send out then. All right, that's a lot going on. So to get my project sheet, you do need to be on my email list, and that link is down below in the description of the video. My email list is free, so all you need to do is sign up, and if you're already signed up, the project sheet will just come to your inbox automatically. Okay, Good to see some of you found me in the later time slot that I have today. Okay, let's switch over to my other camera. And I think we're going to get started. Let's do the gingerbread man first. Let's make him first so you can see how to do that. So we're going to take our die cutting machine, and I did do embossing on top of the gingerbread man, and I'll show you how I did that. Let's just go out a little bit. Okay. I did do embossing, this white embossing on here. I'll show you how to do that. But I find you really should do the die cutting first in this scenario. So we're going to be using pecan pie cardstock, and I just cut this piece to 4 by 5 inches. My setup for my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here, I've got my base platform, which is labeled number 1. I've got my thin die adapter, labeled number 2. Then I've got a clear cutting plate that's been heavily used. That's fine though. It's still working. It's not clear all the way through anymore because it's been used that much. And then we're going to pop on our pecan pie cardstock. We're also going to grab this die right here. And I want to not center it. You could. But I want to make sure that this little place right here where we would have like a blunt end for the arm or the connecting point, we want to make sure that that is actually over top on cardstock, because we want to make sure that we are cutting that connector. And then we'll put another clear plate on top. And then we're going to run this through. Made a lot of noise, didn't it? But that's okay. All right. So now we've got, this is scrap. And we've got this little piece right here. I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to fit this back over here. So now that extra connector piece is on this side. And I'm going to just grab this and I'm going to, you kind of have to feel it with your fingers to feel like it's like kind of all the way around your piece and it's situated right, okay? And then you're gonna put your cutting plate on top again. Uh-oh, I shifted it. I've got, when you have a lot of things on your desk, let's shift this back. You've got a lot of things on your desk and then you don't have things straight, then it will shift. I could also tape it down, which is an option. I'm going to put this on top carefully. And now we're going to run it through. Now, I don't have to run it all the way through. I just need to get the arm, and then I can run it back. So I did pretty well. I didn't get it exactly on there because you can see some little tiny pieces, but it's so close. Just as long as you get it close enough, it will work. And now your arms are going to be rounded on both sides. Oh, before we go and put the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine away, let's grab a little piece of cardstock here. And I'm decorating this up really simply because, you know, I'm making a box and I'm making cookies. So let's make it simple for ourselves. This is like one of the cutest ways to decorate up this box. I'm going to cut the hat and the scarf, and then I can just glue those right on there. I guess I could have done a candy cane too, but just cutting these two things out. And that's how we're going to decorate up the gingerbread man. And throw that away. Let's grab the these two pieces. Okay. All right. Okay, so we've got our little guy right here, and let's bring in, we're going to do the embossing now. Let's zoom in again. There we go. All right, Versamark Embossing Buddy. This is in the Embossing Editions Toolkit. These tweezers are also in the Embossing Editions Toolkit. They're locking tweezers. We're going to use those when we do the embossing. Just make sure I do everything in the right order. Okay, I've got my little gingerbread man, and I have put him on an F block. So in order to get this guy straight, I put him upside down on like some sort of paper, nothing like a vinyl, like my surface right here is this vinyl stuff. If you put it on a piece of computer paper, face down, and then just kind of make sure it's not sticking so it maintains its shape, and then go straight down and pick it up with your block. You could emboss the little eyes and smile afterwards, but you can do them all at the same time. And all you have to do is, it's a separate piece, but there's different eyes. So I've used just the plain little dots, but there's little winky eyes, and then there's little lash eyes. So if you want to change out the expression, you can absolutely do that. And I would just do it all at one time. That way you don't have to emboss a second time. Okay, to start off with, I'm going to rub my entire piece. Let's use that so I don't have to, try not to touch it, because we naturally, I just washed my hands before coming on here, but we naturally have oils and stuff in our hands. And so every time we touch something, that could be something that embossing powder could stick to. So we're going to use, let's move you over here. Okay, we're going to use the Versamark ink, and I have the stamp facing up, and I'm just going to lightly tap all over this big stamp. I think that's good. It depends how inky your Versamark is, but you just want to make sure you get good coverage. And then you need to stand up, and you need to hover this over the top and then go straight down, and then give it a little press. I'm going to try and get my tweezers in there. Okay, I did pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself for doing that. And then, oh, I feel like I'm doing surgery. Each time I've done this, I've been, oh, I want to show you this. Okay, so I'm going to try and put embossing powder on my little thing, but I want to try and use my tweezer so that I don't have to touch this with my fingers and get embossing powder stuck to my project. So what I'm going to try and do, there's a little gap right here. I'm going to try and get my tweezer all the way in on the body, and just so there's that little gap, that's where my come on, shove in, shove in, shove in. Okay, so you see nothing is touching any of the embossing or any of the Versamark areas right now, because I've kind of shoved that in on there. Because I did try and pick it up with fingers before, but this is a great tool to use with embossing when you're using your heat tool, and when you're putting embossing powder on, because this has a lot of stuff on the edges. Tap, tap, tap. This one's a big piece to get around. Probably should have the tray. Now I've touched my piece. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, I'm gonna just move this just a teeny tiny bit. Wasn't in the optimal spot. Let's see if it will pick up. Okay, it's okay. This is white embossing powder. Oh, it's gonna be hard to do that area right there. Let's do this. Shove that right there. It's white embossing powder. And this is in the Basics collection. Let's move this just a teeny tiny bit back. I'm trying to do it without touching my fingers to stuff. Okay. All right. The Embossing Additions Toolkit, I believe, also comes with a little brush that you can use to brush things off. And you know what? I don't know where my brush is right now. I'm going to have to locate it. I've got so many little paint brushes and stuff. I think it's in amongst there, but I haven't singled it out. I will try and do that for next time if I do another gingerbread project. I feel like I'm just going to use just a little paintbrush here and just grab any stray flecks. Okay, now we're going to emboss this with our heat tool. Wait till it starts melting here. It looks like I've got my tweezer right on top of the embossing powder, but let me see, I don't. That white piece is just clamping down, but there's a bridge over top of the embossing right there. Now, you don't necessarily need to go and do this whole outline thing all the way around. You could also just decorate your gingerbread man without this white icing. There's also some pieces that are dies that are little icing squiggles. So you could also die cut little things to go on here. It's an option if you don't want to emboss. I'm just looking, I kind of turn this, make sure that I got all the embossing powder melted. All right. It does look very nice though, right? It does look like a cookie. All right. Let's pop that out of the way. And so we have our little cookie. Our hat's going to go on here. Our scarf's going to go on here. We'll do that at the end. We'll glue everything on top, but we've kind of just got that all situated and ready to go. So now we're going to do our box. And I made this an easy box just because I didn't want something that would be hard if you were going to do multiples. We are going to start off by making the lid, and let me grab my measurements over here. They were over on my other cutting area here. Okay, so this piece, I'm starting off with a lid. I'm using colored cardstock for the lid, and this box measures, our piece measures 7 by 5.5, and we're going to score this at the 3/4 inch mark on all 4 sides. And that's what it looks like. We're also going to do the bottom of the box at the same time. So this piece measures 6 15/16 by 5 7/16. And where is my little ruler? If you have trouble with those measurements, the Easy Read ruler, the Victor Easy Read ruler is great for that, because we've got our whole measurements, our half measurements, our 1/4 inch measurements, our 1/8 inch measurements, and our 16th. So when we do, it's 6 and 15/16. So you can see that 6 and 15/16 right there. It is just 1/16 less than 7 inches. Okay, that's another way to look at it. And the other measurement is 5 and 7/16. So 5 and 7/16 is just 1/16 less than 1/2 an inch. So basically, it's this same size minus 1/16. Okay, so it just, I hope that makes it easy for you and not harder. So we're going to score this also at the 3/4 inch mark on all 4 sides. Very easy, except maybe the 16th might be a little harder, but it's actually not that hard if you just think what we basically want, if you want to just look at it, is you want like your lower piece, your bottom piece to be just a little bit smaller than your upper piece, and that's how they're going to nest together. Okay, so we're going to prep both of these boxes, or the lid and the bottom, the same way. I think with this one you can probably use scissors. If you want to, you can use a trimmer to cut up your score lines. I have the short side facing me, and I'm just going to cut up along the center of that score line just to that first score intersection. And then I'm going to create a little tab by just angle cutting a little tiny wedge. It's like really teeny tiny, like that. And then we're going to do this for this side. We're going to cut into the same size. I'm just going to turn this. I'm more comfortable cutting right here than kind of going over here and cutting. So I'm kind of moving my project to where my hand likes to cut, and my left hand is holding and my right hand is cutting. If you're reverse, if you're left-handed, you might want to be cutting over here instead, right? And then I'm going to turn to the other side, the other short side, and we're going to cut. Whenever you make several of the same thing, it's always neat that after a while you'll start to think, you know, how can I make it easier for myself to do the project? Okay, so this is almost prepped, but I want to do one thing. This is the lid. I want to do one thing before I forget, because if you forget this step, then it's going to be harder to get this done after the fact. So I want to just grab, this is the Omni Grip centering ruler. You don't necessarily need a centering ruler. I like to have a centering ruler because it makes my life easier, but you can also just, this length here is 7 inches. So you can measure 3.5 inches over on the long side and just make yourself a little mark here. This is only for people who are really nitpicky like me. You could eyeball this as well. I'm making a mark for my punch for my thumb grip, okay? And if you want it dead centered, then you can do this and just make yourself like a little centering mark right here. It's 3.5 inches on the long side right there. But you could also eyeball it. I'm not gonna look very closely. Let's see how close I get just by kind of, so it'd be like about here. I'd be pretty close if I were measuring it. Just hold on. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of a bite out, like maybe like 3/8 of an inch, like that. And so now I've got a little thumb grip. You don't have to do this, but depending on how tight your box gets, like how tight it is when it's nice to have that little area to grab onto and help get the lid away from the bottom. And that's a step that I sometimes forget. So that's why I'm going to do it right now so I don't forget it. Okay, let's set this aside now, and then we're going to do the same box prep for the bottom, except we don't need thumb grips on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to cut up and then angle, angle. And I'm going to flip to the other side, cut up, angle, angle, other side. And my project sheet will have a diagram for you so that you know what pieces you need to have to create your little box. I like to include the diagram, and trust me, it actually helps me down the road, because sometimes I remake my projects, or I make a similar project, and I want to see how I made the project the first time and how I can, you know, tweak it and make it better. But it's helpful for me to have the diagrams too. Okay, so it is helpful to have a bone folder. I'm just going to fold along the score lines now. And the bone folder just helps press things down a little harder than you could do with just your fingers. But if you don't have a bone folder, then just use your fingers to give it a little press. Okay, so let's make our box bottom. We're just going to take some glue and put it in all four corners. I use this Tombow multi-glue. I definitely recommend Tombow because it is a glue for paper crafting. And you don't want just regular white glue because it's going to warp the cardstock and your box won't look as nice. It's a simple thing, but trust me, it's just very true. Regular white glue has more, I guess, water or wet stuff in it. I'm assuming it's water that is making it more liquidy, and it absorbs into the paper and it will warp it. Tombow, it dries pretty quickly, which is a plus when you're paper crafting, but it also it won't cause that warpage. Okay, so when I'm bringing these corners together, always make sure your score line and the edge are coming up nice together so that you have nice little corners that aren't like, you know, your sides aren't going off on an angle. Just take a little time to make sure you're positioning everything, because that will make your project look better. And it just the little tiny details like that. And especially, you know, I know some of you sell projects at craft fairs and stuff, so you want them to look good. I mean, people want unique things that are handmade, but they want them to look good too, right? So this is the box bottom, very simple. And you could use colored cardstock. Sometimes I just like to have two different colors so that, especially like the cookie will like really look good against the white background. We're going to make the box top now. Just use the bone folder. It's made in the exact same way, but I just like to show everything on camera. This is a long format video that shows you all the details. And you could put me on while you're making your own boxes and craft along. I know I do that sometimes when I crochet. If I'm learning a new stitch or I'm learning a new pattern, I like to craft along with the person. Sometimes I like to slow the person down because they're going too fast for me. So you remember on YouTube, you can slow me down if you need to. And maybe you can see that really well, how that box corner comes together. And you might notice, see how this is kind of bowing out on the side right here as I'm bringing this together. You can just kind of bring that together and push it in on either side so it is on the right angle. Just work on the corner first and make sure the corner is good, and then this, you can just bring it in afterwards. Okay, and then we're going to do the other side. Bring those both in. Line it up and line it up. Just make sure it's all stuck together. Okay, so we've got our box top. Let's put a cookie inside. So I brought over a different cookie I made, and I did try, and I have decorated cookies before, but I am not a cookie decorator, okay? So it just took me a little trial and error. I used Sally's Baking Addiction royal icing recipe as well, and it was very similar to royal icing recipes I've used in the past, kind of like identical, but I wanted to give you a link, and I know she also has extra tips, so I could have just given you my royal icing recipe, but it's very easy. Icing sugar, or icing, what do you call it here? We called it icing sugar in Canada, so when I grew up, so it's called icing sugar, whatever, powdered sugar. Meringue powder and warm water is basically the 3 ingredients in royal icing, and she'll give you extra tips on how to make that. I'm not a cookie show. I love to bake and I love to tweak recipes, but this is not a cooking show. It is a paper crafting show. So I made these, and I tried to do the icing like that had here. It did not look good. I'm just saying, unless you are like super good at getting it like completely around. I have the cookies still in the kitchen, but I just, if you want to try and do this icing, you might have a hard time getting that outline perfect. It's different if you're flooding a cookie. It doesn't look, if you're flooding the whole cookie with icing, it doesn't look bad if the edges aren't perfect. But if you're outlining it like this, you can really tell if it's not perfect. So given that fact, I thought I would just do the little squiggles, and I thought that looks so much better. And it doesn't, this was easy. This was really, really easy. And you could add candy, but I just wanted to keep it simple like these ones right here. So then I'm going to grab one of these bags. This is a 4x6 bag. And you want to make sure that the icing has had a chance to dry, right? I iced these last night. I baked them in the afternoon. And you just want to slide that in there. And then let's just move this out of the way. And then it has a liner, so you can kind of see, you're going to kind of fold it right there. Take off the liner, and it will stick to you. And you're just going to fold this over like that. And that way the cookie is protected, right? And it's in its nice little bag. And then you can slide it right in there, and it fits perfectly. Like I said, with her recipe, my cookies only went up 1/8 of an inch. Did I show you my cookie cutters? I don't know. These are the cookie cutters. I have the link down below. I found these on Amazon, and so if we take this out for a second, they do expand a little bit, right? But generally, this is the right size. If you wanted to, I don't know, you might be able to do 2 of this size in a bag if you wanted to do 2. How about at the end, I'll go grab, I made a couple in this size with icing sugar on, and see what that looks like in the bag. This one is too big because it's going to band, and then this one won't fit in this way, and I don't think it would fit in 100% this way either. So and I wanted to keep the box down to a half sheet of cardstock for the bottom and half sheet for the lid. So I will go grab some cookies at the end and see if we can get 2 of the second smallest size, because maybe you want to give 2 cookies in a box instead of doing one big one. It kind of just depends on what you want to make, but the big cookie will fit in there. And I picked these especially because they had the nice rounded edges that kind of looked like my original cookie, gingerbread man cookie from the bundle. Okay, so fits in there perfectly. We're gonna put this on here like this. And then I wanted to add a little designer series paper pop. So I'm using, this is the Christmas Tags and More 6x6. I'm gonna open this up and show this to you because it's got some different patterns and things. Like you can use these for the tags. It's got 8 sheets of each pattern. So it's got this pattern here, which has these little pieces, so you can use these on cards or tags, and then it's got a nice green check on the back, which you'll like. And then it's got 8 sheets of this one. Let's see, of this pattern here. It's like a partial wreath or arbor, and you can use this, or you can use the back, which is just kind of, I would definitely use this for Christmas as well, but you could use this going into spring. And then we've got this pattern here, which is got some ornaments on this. This would look nice on a card. Another neutral pattern on the side, and then we've got a very neutral pattern back, which I think would look nice with a lot of different things. I do like sometimes to have a very neutral pattern for my background pieces, so that's nice. And then this is the pattern I used, and it's got kind of the a plaid, red and green plaid pattern, and then it's kind of got another green kind of tone on tone pattern. And then the last set of things that you get with here are these die cuts, and you can use these on tags, on cards, and you get, I think you get 8 sheets of this as well. Let me just double check, or maybe not. Maybe let's count them. Oh, they're coming apart. 1, 2. Okay, you only get 4 sheets of these tags. So, but in any case, let's see, 6x6, and oh, there's 36 sheets on here. That's why, yes. So that would make sense, because normally our packs have 40, and so there's 4 sheets of the die cuts, and then the rest of the paper, you get 8 of each of the patterns. So that was the Christmas Tags and More paper. Okay, a long explanation just for a teeny tiny bit of designer series paper that I'm going to use down here at the bottom. This piece, I wanted to maximize usage of a 6x6, so this piece is 2 by 5.5, so you can get 3 pieces out of your designer series paper out of a 6x6. We'll just bring our scoring board in one more time, and we're going to score on the long side. Let's see, where's my tool? Okay, so we're going to start off scoring at the 3/4 inch mark. I'm trying to decide, where do I want my red stripe on the top? Yeah, I think we'll do the red stripe. Or do we do this stripe? No, let's do the red stripe on the top. So that means, okay, I've already scored this side and turned it. So I want this one on the top. So I'm going to score on the opposite end at the 3/4 inch mark right here. And then on this side as well on 3/4. So basically 3/4, 3/4, and 3/4. Okay, so just scoring on 3 sides, and then I'm going to cut up along the score line. Let's see right here. It's hard to see with all the plaid lines. And I'm going to create a little tab here. And then I'm also going to do this over on, let's cut up on the back side because I can see it a little bit better, I think. Oh, it's right there, and it's like right, so hard to see with pattern paper, but I think I got it. Okay. I will also have a diagram kind of with the score lines marked out, but you can maybe see it a little bit better how this is going to come together. So for this, I'm going to put this down here at the bottom of the box, and I'm going to glue first the top part and then the sides, and then we'll come around here and do the bottom. So I'm just going to put glue on this bigger segment that's going on top, on this side and this side. We'll glue this section, the smaller section, afterwards. And you don't have to do this. This is just going to add, it's kind of going to look like a tablecloth or something. It's going to anchor the gingerbread man in place on this box and give it just a little bit more interest. Okay, then we're going to turn this over, and we'll just put a little glue here for tab number 1, a little glue here for tab number 2. I'm going to pull those in, and then we're going to put glue on this part of the box and just press down. And basically what I just did there was I just wrapped this front of the box so it goes all the way around on both sides. But this way we're only using a tiny bit of designer series paper, which you'll eventually run out of the designer series paper if you use it. But cardstock, the solid color, that's what you're using to create the box. You're just using a tiny bit of it to create the end. So let's just pop this on here. And I want to also create a little, where are my little tiny cardstock pieces? I want to create a little label. This is a 3 by 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. And where did my garden green ink go? Here it is. I'm using garden green ink. On the other box, I used real red, so I'm kind of using 2 very Christmassy colors, and we're just going to stamp. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit so I can hover my head over it and make sure it looks somewhat straight. And I like this greeting because it says Baking Spirits Bright, which I think is a little bit unique, a little different. Okay, so first things first, we're going to put our gingerbread man kind of where we want him. We don't want the hat, you know, not being able to fit. So I'm going to kind of leave the gingerbread man on there loose first. And we're just going to glue. I'm going to use this guy as a guide because I want them to look similar. Okay, we'll glue that. Then we're going to come in with a scarf. It's a little bit different way to dress up the gingerbread man, but I like it. It's a little different. And I feel like this is really an easy way to decorate it. Simple, but easy. It still has enough color because we got that plaid paper down here. And then we're going to grab our little sign. I'll just put a little glue in the center. And then we're going to glue down the whole gingerbread man. So I'm just lining him up a little bit, and I just to have this come across kind of almost like he's holding it. And then we'll flip this guy over, and now we'll put glue on the entire piece, a little bit up the top, and then we'll bring this guy in. Like I said, if you're doing this with kids, you know, cut the gingerbread man, get out your little embellishments and stuff, and let them have fun. coloring or decorating the gingerbread man, if they want to color the gingerbread man, maybe cut the gingerbread man instead of pecan pie, maybe go with the crumb cake so that they can really see what they're doing. And then I'm just going to press this down to make sure it's all nice and stuck. Okay. And there we go. It's, you know, in the end, it's like a snug fitting box because we only made it 1/16 inch shorter. So that's kind of what we want. And that's why it's nice to have the thumb grips to help open up the box, right? So you got them right there, and that kind of helps so you can pull away the box, right? And let's see where my other one went. Okay, there we go. So there are the little tiny boxes. I think they look so super cute. I could see this being like a gift to give out, like kids, teachers might want to do something along these lines, make little boxes for salt dough ornaments. That might be a little bit easier than making gingerbread men to put inside them. Salt dough ornaments made by the kids, painted by the kids. Do you know what I mean? That would be really cute to put in these little guys. So I did not make salt dough ornaments this time. I have made them in the past. I did leave a link on my blog if you're looking for doing the salt dough ornaments instead, with instructions on how to make them. So that's the little box, and I think, you know, it's so super cute. Now, say you wanted to also do a card. Guess what? This die, you can cut this, and then you could actually stick the card inside the box, and it just opens, right? Like it would be like a card in the shape of a gingerbread man, and you could stick a card on top of there too. So you could have your cookie, and then you could have the card on top, and maybe you don't want to bake these yourself. Around Christmas time, you might find gingerbread men that are in the somewhat similar size, and we could absolutely do that. You know what I'm going to do? I did say I was going to go grab some gingerbread men real quick. I'm going to run to the other room and grab them and see if they will fit in the bag, and see how two of the smaller ones fit. Let me just grab my little tray here. Go grab some. No running with cookies, right? Because then you'll trip and fall. I wanted to show you how my outline gingerbread man turned out. Okay, but you have to be so bang on. And I don't think I even did such a bad job outlining it. But if it's not perfection, it just looks not great, right? Let me open up this one in comparison. I think this looks so much cuter than this one, because it's just, I don't know, when you can't get the outline exactly, like I didn't quite make the curve here and here, it just doesn't look that great, right? Okay, so let's have a look at these little guys right here and see if they would fit. Let's grab another cellophane bag. I'm just doing the little baby ones. Okay, let's pop you inside here. Yeah, I think that would kind of fit. I'm not going to put these ones all the way in. I'm just going to fold over the bag and just, so this would be the second smallest one. You could put 2 gingerbread men into there. instead of doing like one large one. So that would be like, in terms of sizes, that would be this size, the second smallest one. This one is just, it's not quite sized right for that, but yeah, that would work as well, right? Okay, I just wanted to show you some different options. I wanted to bake these for you so that you could see that you can make them, and you have the right size cookie cutter. And then if you use Sally's recipe, that you will hopefully have good success with your little cookies. Her cookies, when she baked them so that they are not hard. So if you want yours to have like less moisture in them, to be like a little harder, like if you're gonna, depending, I think she said they last for a week. But I would probably bake them just a little bit longer, just so there's a little less moisture in there. If you were going to want them to last just a teeny tiny bit longer. But just, if you're just giving them to family and you want them to be like on the softer side, then follow her instructions and I think you'll have success. All right, let me know if you need any help finding any of those links. I did put them over on my blog for you. So if you've made it this far and you're not already one of my subscribers, I hope you will subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. That I appreciate all of that. My little channel keeps growing, and I appreciate all of my followers, my customers. It's just wonderful that you choose to spend time with me while I'm making these projects. All right, I am going to, I'm trying to think, we're almost at the end of September, and we do still have the Advent calendar. It was released this week. It's like 12 days of crafting calendar, and there are still some available. So if you want to have a gift to give your paper crafting friends or family members, this makes a great gift. It's available over on the Stampin' Up website. Yeah. Oh, and I should mention this because I'm going to keep forgetting until October. We do have an awesome starter kit special coming up next month. And there are two options, and the simplest option is it's a $35 starter kit, and you get $125 worth of product to put in the starter kit. We've never had a starter kit this great with that much product that you get to choose in it before. So if you've ever thought about getting a starter kit, now is the time. In October. October 1st is the first day that you can get it, is the time to get the Stampin' Up starter kit. You don't have to teach or do classes. A lot of my team are just hobbyists. In fact, I do have people from my team right here on my channel this morning, and I love my team. We're gonna do team stamping tonight. We do that once a month. We have a Zoom, and tonight we're going to be making a mystery card over up on we're doing team stamping. So and you don't have to, there's no obligation to participate in team activities, but you are absolutely welcome to. I send the Zoom link out to all my team, and whoever wants to come can come. And so I hope you will think about getting the starter kit next month. I will be talking a lot about it next month, but that is coming up on Wednesday, because that's October 1st. So I'll probably send out an email about it on Monday, so that you can see all the details. And if you have any questions about the starter kit, please email me. Whether you get it or not, I want to answer your questions. So I would be happy. My email address Let me pop that up on the screen for you. There's my email address. So I will have more information next week, but if you have any questions for me, please reach out. All right, well, it's almost at the end of the video, and this is the time when I go through all the comments and make sure I have any questions answered. I'll say hello to all of you too. Hello, Marge. She said this was good timing for her. Oh, I'm glad that you caught me. I'm sorry that I'm going live at a different time than I anticipated. Hello, Mary. Hello, Nancy. Says perfect timing for her as well. Hello, Verblue. Hello, Birgit. Hello, Janine. Hello, T. Oh, Mary says she has this bundle coming. It was one of the first things I ordered. Just getting around to it now. Every time at the beginning of the catalog, I always order before the catalog goes live because demonstrators can do that. And then when the catalog goes live, I kind of go through my products one by one and I create projects with them. And so I will eventually get to everything and make something with all the cute little bundles that I bought. Hello, Valerie. Hello, Jeannie from Thunder Bay, Ontario. How fun. Lynn says, did you remember to give Brenda a thumbs up? Thank you, Lynn, for the reminder. Valerie says, gingerbread smells so good baking and so warm and delicious to eat. A smile and a cookie. It's so true. I was baking these last night. My husband is at a conference right now, so I said, you're missing out, so, but I love gingerbread. And Sally uses a good hefty amount of ginger in her cookies, and I love that so much. Hello, Nina. And she also said to give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Terry asked, what are the dimensions of the box? I can absolutely tell you that. I did give you the dimensions of the cookie, but this box is 4 inches across, finished, 4 by 5.5 finished. So width-wise, 4, 5.5, and 3/4 up on that side. Okay, and Nina gave me thumbs up. Thank you. T says, my cookie turned out so cute. And she says, the box is cute too. I'm pretty proud of the cookies because I don't decorate cookies very often. If I do cookies, I usually do like a drop cookie because, well, I'm not bad at baking them. It's just time consuming. And, so if I'm going to be doing a rolled cookie, it better be for a special occasion, right? Like Christmas or making special cookies for my husband. There's one cookie that he loves that I make for him. It's like a cookie. My husband's family's from Chile originally. And they make a cookie called an alfajore. And they are beautiful cookies. And I think Peru also makes them. A few South American countries make them. And they are very delicious. And they are also a rolled cookie. If I'm making a rolled cookie, it just takes extra time. So that's why I generally don't make them. But they are very, very good. Nancy said, will the next video be baking with Brenda? You know what? I could have done something like that, but like, it's just, yeah, you'd have to have a different setup, but I would love to do that too. I love to bake. I always have something baked around the house. And I think the main reason I like that is because I can bake it however I want. I can bake with less sugar. I can bake with the type of flour I want. I can like mix whole wheat with white or whatever. I can make it like better in my mind. So that's why I like to make my own baking rather than buying it from the store. But yeah, that would be fun. But right now it's just paper crafting with me. Hello, Ellie. Um, Nancy said, how do I keep my plates so flat? Well, this set of plates I only use on a line. There is, if you look and I don't know if I did that with these plates. I may have actually, I did it once with some of my plates. You can straighten them out with hot water in your sink. I have not done a video on this. I have done this once before, but you can straighten out your plates with hot water. I would Google it, Google or do a search on YouTube, how to straighten out your die cutting plates. I don't tend to keep them straight. One thing that I do that I think does help is I use, you know how they say switch your plates around? I just tend to keep my bottom plate for the bottom and my top for the top, and the top one is the one that goes curls and goes wonkers, and the bottom one tends to be a little straighter. So you might try that too, but I don't know. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw, but there are videos on how to straighten out your plates if you want to give that a try. Patty says, so cute. She'll be baking these, making the cute little box. Love that you baked the gingerbread. Please post more ideas like this for gifts. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad that you like this idea. It's, you know, it kind of is dictated by the products that Stampin' Up! Has, right? That's where I get my inspiration, and this just seemed to make sense. And I also wanted to give you all the tools necessary if you don't have a gingerbread man cookie cutter the right size. You can pick one up, and the bags and everything. The links are down below for those if you need them. And you know, it's inspired by the products, so I will always try and use my brain and come up with something creative. But I'm glad that you will use this idea. That's great. Hello, Mommy Roo. So Patty said, did you find it easier to die cut the gingerbread than stamp, emboss, and die cut? This one, I feel like it is easier to do the embossing afterwards, because you have to run it through twice and you have to flip your cardstock. And when you're squishing that embossing on your cutting plate, I feel like there might be a chance that you could damage the embossing while die cutting, just because you're squishing everything down, and I don't want anything to stick to the cutting plates accidentally. So I didn't even try embossing first and then die cutting. I felt like with this one you definitely should die cut and then emboss afterwards. But you can try it the other way too. I just in my brain, I thought that it would not work out well. Oh, Ellie, great question about the cardstock. I'm glad you asked it, because I did use thick basic white for the bottom of the box. And it is a little bit more expensive, but it is worth it because I'm not double walling this box. So if you can get thick basic white, I think you'll have a better result. If you can't do the thick basic white, I wouldn't use regular basic white. I would use another colored cardstock. You could do garden green and garden green, or real red and garden green, or choose another color. Choose, you know, crumb cake or whatever for the bottom. Just I wouldn't use regular basic white because it's a little, I feel like it would be a little bit too thin. Nancy said, how do you slow someone down on YouTube? Never knew that was available. So down below, you have to be on YouTube. So you can't do it for a live, obviously, right? Because the video hasn't been filmed yet, so you can't slow down a live process. But once the video is over, there's a toolbar right at the bottom of the video. And it's got like a little, I think there's a little tool icon. and you just look at the little icons, and then you will be able to click on one of them. We'll give you the option to speed it up or slow it down. And I use that a lot for crocheting, because even though they usually go very slow, sometimes, you know, you have to do the thing, and you have to watch them do it at the same time. And I'm just like, okay, I need to put that thing here, put my hook here, and so it's just very, very useful. I use it all the time for crocheting. Judy said, the set of cookie cutters would be a nice gift in the box too. Well, that's true, except for the cookie cutters, I think, are 1 inch deep. They would not fit inside. You'd have to alter the box. Yeah, they are. I think you would have to, like, I'm just gonna pop this in here and show you. See, it's gonna stick out. So I would make a 1 inch box, a box with 1 inch sides instead, if you were going to gift the cookie cutters instead. But I'm sure most people want the cookie and not the cookie cutters, except for really crafty people would love the cookie cutters. But anyone else, like if you gave my husband cookie cutters, I don't think he'd be very happy. I think he would definitely want the cookie. Absolutely. Know your recipients, right? Know your audience. But yeah, that would be a nice gift too. Absolutely. Mommy Ruth said the gingerbread cookie box is so adorable. Thank you. And she, Mary says, so cute. Cannot wait for my set to come. Ellie said, could not be more perfect. Janine said, holy moly, this is an adorable project. Thank you for such detailed instructions and comments. You're the best. Aw, thank you, Janine. T says, so adorable. Lynn said, do you have a link to where you get your tea lights from? Yes, I do. I don't know that I've put them. Oh, I may have put them in my Amazon store. Look down below in the description of the video. And under my Amazon links, it's the first link I've added. I've created a storefront now for all the things I use, and I'm adding to it. I don't have all the things I've ever used or bought for my crafting projects. I've started off with the things that I use the most. And I do believe I did put the tea lights in one of the categories. If you don't see them, just reach out to me and I will send you 2 different options. There are 2 types of tea lights I like to use. Now, I didn't use a tea light today, but I have done a bunch of tea light projects recently. I like the flickering ones. Those are really cute. And then there's also color changing tea lights, which also look awesome because they go through all the different, like the red, the purple, the green, the blue. Those are super fun. So those are the 2 types of tea lights I love. Mommy Ruth says she has the bundle. Looking forward to making the boxes. Karen says very cute. And she says, I come up with the best ideas. Aw, thank you, Karen. Sandra said she really enjoyed this. Well, thank you, Sandra. All right. Sandra said she caught the replay of the Christmas tree card yesterday. Hope I can catch some more of these live demonstrations. I hope so too. I usually go live in the morning because I have a lot more energy in the morning. Actually, I'm not doing too bad right after lunch, but when I hit about 3 o'clock, this video would be so boring. I would put everyone to sleep. So I will absolutely... Lynn said that I did not put the tea lights in my storefront yet. Okay, I'm going to go add them because those are something that I use a lot. Okay, I will add them and put them in on a category. I have to just go find them and add them to the category. And Lynn, if you send me an email or a contact form, my email address is up there right now. I will go ahead and send those links to you directly right after I finish here. But getting back to what Sandra said, I usually go live in the morning, but you can always You can always watch the replay. And if you are new, I haven't seen your name before, Sandra, but if you are new, just make sure you also get on my email list so that you can get my free project sheets. I think they are so worth it. They are like a summary of my project with all of the dimensions and usually also a diagram, which will help you a lot. And then if you get stuck, you can always go back to the video, and the video will, help show you the way through. All right. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining me at this later time. And I hope you enjoy making this project. I really enjoyed baking gingerbread for you and testing it all out. So hopefully that will take a little bit off your plate in terms of trying to figure things out and how to work that box. And remember, you can put other gingerbread things in there. This box would not be great for Hershey's Kisses because it's not tall enough. And we could explore maybe doing a Hershey's Kiss project. I know they usually have, I don't know if they have a gingerbread flavored kiss. I think they have sugar cookie flavored kisses. But we want to try and do different projects and different things. Hershey's Kisses don't have to fit into every box that I make, right? So this one is a good one for flat things like cookies and decorated cookies. So keep this one bookmarked for you the future. Thanks so much for watching me today. Take care, everyone. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.